Is it just me, or does it feel like Knuckles and Rouge are the ones that get the best episodes of the season so far? Like, my freaking goodness, what a great episode, and I'm super excited to talk about it with you guys. And it's way better than that piece of uh, uh, ship scum that we looked at last time. So, let's forget that thing exists and focus on this thing that's awesome. What's up, what's happening, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Amy's Station, mentioning Queen TV movies and a hedgehog that runs faster than the speed of sound. I'm your host, Justin Small. Welcome back to SoniCemberX. Let's talk about Season 1, Episode... What's the number? 17. Episode 17 of Sonic X, titled The Adventures of Knuckles and Hawk. An episode where Sonic & Co. is nowhere in sight. And it actually gives the spotlight to another character. Took you long enough. Like, as much as I love the first episode where Knuckles and Sonic had their little duel, that episode did have the problem of the fact that Knuckles had to share his screen time with Sonic and Company, which didn't allow him to get much character development. Sorry, I had to yawn there. But in this episode, he gets a lot of character development, and we get hints at possibly where this show's going to be heading soon. So, yeah, it's a pretty exciting, pretty fun, exhilarating episode. But, unfortunately, I don't have the 20 plus minutes to give it a full review like I did with That's What Friends Are For. So, once again, it had to be another quick one, but I will go over a generalization, my favorite parts, and then my overall thoughts and final verdicts. So let's dive into Knuckles and Hawk and why it's such a great episode. So first, we have Knuckles narrating the beginning of the episode, talking about how he met this guy Hawk and how both of them are looking for the same thing, the Red Chaos Emerald. So, Knuckles pays him a visit to Oriental City, and he ends up going into a bar. And he almost causes a full-on bar fight when guys treat him rudely. And then you have, what are their names again? Deco and Boko? I hope I'm saying that right. I'm sorry. The spelling of the robots' names are so weird. They're there in disguise in the corner. And then they tell Eggman about what they found, and it's pretty suspicious, so they get involved. And then we have Knuckles getting tricked by Li Yan, hope I'm saying that right, into a trapdoor, which actually brings him to Hawk, who's been kept in a prison cell. And then they break out of it, and they go to get this Chaos Emerald that Hawk hid in a spot that he says no one could find. And that's when Rouge catches sight of Knuckles and decides to chase after him, thinking he's going after a Chaos Emerald. But then she gets knocked out immediately, and we're introduced to another robot. And the robot's name is... I'm trying to find the name of this robot. I can't remember its name. Where is it? Oh, E-91, Lady Ninja. That's what they call it, Lady Ninja. And it's one of the coolest robots of the fight so far. And of the series, I can't talk. It's one of the coolest robots of the series so far. Very cool design, love the ninja aesthetic. And it's cool seeing a female robot. I don't think we've actually seen that in the show up to the point. So that's pretty cool. And then they have Knuckles has a battle with her in the subway station to get the Chaos Emerald. And she, since she's a robot, has the power to change like her little whip Japanese thing into a giant freaking wrecking ball and buries the Chaos Emerald underneath the rubble. But thankfully, Knuckles does manage to save his friend Hawk before he ends up getting buried, and the Lady Ninja flies away. And then they go off hiding in a warehouse, I think. They don't really specify where it is. And while Knuckles is causing damage out of anger for getting beaten by a lady robot, he ends up finding his shovel claws. Yes, those shovel claws, the ones he has in Sonic Adventure. And the way he finds them is ingenious, because it's like, It's just a little subtle background detail about how Knuckles suddenly finds these, and then it turns out that Hawk found those shovel claws in that same temple where Knuckles saved him from, that caused this whole friendship in the first place. That is a really nice touch and a really cool attention to detail. So, he manages to burrow under the rocks using his new shovel claws, and then he manages to get the Chaos Emerald and bury it. But then Hawk gets kidnapped by Lady Ninja, and Eggman forces Knuckles into a confrontation. And then there's a big, wild, mad dash because Rouge gets involved, and all of them chase after the Emerald. That is until things get too intense for Rouge, and she just flies out of the episode. That's literally what she does. She flies out of the episode. We'll talk more about that later, but it's definitely a weird choice. But with the help of Hawk, Knuckles manages to defeat Lady Ninja. They get the Chaos Emerald, and Knuckles departs back for Station Square, and leaving his friend with the promise that he will come back someday to visit. Which hopefully means that we're going to see Hawk again in another episode sometime. I hope so. He's one of my favorite new edition characters of this show. He's funny, he is a great friend to Knuckles, and he's actually really helpful in the journey despite being a bit of a bumbling buffoon. But it's in a way that's charming, and his friendship with Knuckles throughout the episode, it's genuine. You understand and you totally buy that Knuckles ends up growing a fondness for this guy, and this guy ends up growing a fondness for Knuckles because, well, Knuckles saved his life. So, it's a really believable friendship, and it's a great way to give the episode a little bit more depth. Speaking of depth, the episode ends with Knuckles getting a weird vision from the Red Chaos Emerald with a prophecy of some sort. The prophecy says, in a female voice, the servers are the 7 Chaos. And then that's the episode. It leaves you on that weird note. Like, what does it mean? Like, why would it tell Knuckles and not like Sonic or Tails or even Chris? It's really, really interesting. And that's the episode. It's fun, it's action-packed, it has a great friendship, and it's just a really, really great time. Like, I loved this one. After being so let down and disappointed by that pile of ship scum that came before it, I was pleasantly surprised about how amazing this one really is. Now, it's not a perfect episode, and we're going to talk about why, but this episode is fantastic. It is great, and it is a wonderful addition to this show. And once again, like I said, it seems like Knuckles and Rouge get the best episodes in the show. I don't know if that's just me. Should we talk? No, we're not going to talk about regional differences. It's just too lengthy. There's way too many of them. So let's just go ahead and get to final thoughts and wrap this up, because I have some rewatching to do. Trying to get my finger. There we go. I have some rewatching to do after I finish this review, so let's get to final thoughts, shall we? Another great Knuckle-focused episode that fixed my one problem with the previous one and gave Knuckles the entire episode to shine rather than sharing it with Sonic and Co., who for once are not in the episode itself. Which I think is the first time. Is it the first time since Fly Spy? No, they were in Fly Spy. This is the first time in the actual show that they are just not in the episode. Knuckles' friendship with Hawk is genuine. The robot ninja, Lady Ninja, is one of the best designs of the show so far. The way they gave Knuckles his iconic shovel claws from Sonic Adventure was ingenious. The action is great, the humor is very good, this episode is hilarious, and the pacing is fast. If I had to nitpick here, I'd say that Rouge probably could have been cut out of the episode. Look, I love Rouge. I gloat about her in Fly Spy. She is my second favorite character in the series, second only to the one and only Shadow the Hedgehog. But this is an episode where I feel like she was kind of just shoehorned in. Let me explain. Because all she really does in the episode is get knocked out by the Lady Ninja, and then flees when the battle commences. Not to mention not saying a single line to Knuckles or Hawk, making her inclusion feel kind of pointless. Like, at least let her have like one line acknowledging Knuckles and Hawk. Like, she mostly just talks to herself for the episode, and then she just flies out of the episode like nothing happened. Like, I get she was going after a Chaos Emerald, but they don't even explain that. She's kind of just there. She's window dressing. She's background material. And I feel like they misused her. I feel like they could have definitely used her in a funnier way, and maybe make her the big antagonist of the episode instead of Eggman, and have Knuckles and Rouge and Hawk fight over the Chaos Emerald. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I don't know. Don't get me wrong, I still love her character, and I love seeing her in this series, but this just feels like a time where she was shoehorned into the plot without much purpose. Besides that nitpick, this episode's fantastic, and it's definitely worth a watch. It's a very strong bounce back from the critically disappointing episode 16. Highly recommend checking this episode out. My final verdict for The Adventures of Knuckles and Hawk is going to be a high and well-deserved 9 out of 10. I probably would have given it a 10 if it weren't for the fact that Rouge has no point being here. But if you take her out, it's a phenomenal episode I pretty much have no problems with. Really enjoyed it, really dug it, had an amazing time with it. You absolutely need to check it out if you haven't already. It is a must-watch episode of the show, in my personal opinion. Well, that's it. Now, if you excuse me, like I said, I have some rewatching to do because I'm going to be seeing a certain something this Friday, and I got to start rewatching now. So, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next review. Take care, my fellow hedgehogs, and echidnas, and foxes, and Sonic people.
Lesson I will soon forget. So listen and you won't regret. Be true to yourself, don't miss your chance, and you won't end up like the fool who ripped his pants.